Hi, Adrian. Thank you so much for joining me on Voices with Impact. Can you please tell everyone who you are and what it is that you do?
Yeah, of course. First of all, thank you for having me. My name is Adrian Alvarez. I'm actually from East Chicago, Indiana, reside in Hammond now. I'm actually a graduate from Purdue Northwest, a school right near me. Right now, I am doing coaching for entrepreneurs who are relatively new to their business ventures. I know myself was struggling a lot at the beginning, and that was about 2.5 years ago or so. And just looking out for people who are either starting or aspiring to start doing something on their own, helping them with the mental side of things, limiting beliefs, self-doubt, confidence issues, things like that, things that I personally went through, and helping them get over that obstacle and start actually having some success in their business.
Awesome. How did you start about that?
I think for me, it was just a mental game the whole time for me. A lot of insecurity, self-doubt, a lot of times thinking maybe I'm not meant to do this, or maybe I don't know enough. A lot of things that I had to overcome myself. So it was a lot of watching videos, reading books, figuring out why I felt like this and how to fix it. And then noticing that this was a reoccurring issue with other people as well. I would meet a lot of people who had great ideas, and then a month later I would never hear from them again, and then I would reach out and they pretty much would tell me the same thing that I was feeling. I had no confidence in myself. People told me I probably should just stick to what I do, and a lot of things that I felt maybe I can have a part in trying to prevent it for them, so they can actually start doing what I know they wanted to do, but just maybe needed that little bit of a push.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. I'm happy that you saw a calling for that because it's needed.
Yeah.
It's needed, especially when you have an idea, right? You want to start something and everyone around you takes that away from you.
Yeah, big time.
Because of their own issues, their own negativity, and I think that's great.
I was just gonna tell you, I'm sure you've dealt with that too at some point where it's like, why are you going to do this? And then but you know what you want to do. Like, you personally know what you want to do with your life, with your business. And, of course, there's always going to be people who put in their 2 cents, but it's at the end of the day, it's about what you want to actually do personally.
Yeah, and it's definitely important to show up for yourself. At the end of the
Yes,
day, you have to show up for yourself, for your own goals, your own journey, and where you want to end up. It's your own end game, right?
I agree. Yep.
Um, and I feel like it's sad when so many people have all of these great ideas and they let their acquaintances, their friends just
Yeah.
belittle those ideas and then they remain stuck. They remain
Yeah.
settling. So how did you get started with this? Like, who was your first client? Tell me about this because when I
It's
saw all of your content and how you speak on like the mental health aspect, I was just like, okay, I know that this guy has more to share.
it's kind of funny. It like was completely different than what it is now. So when I first started, quick story, I started in real estate. Me and my friend were doing real estate things. We were cold calling every day, looking for houses to sell and to go look at. And it was nerve-wracking because we weren't getting paid for it. We were getting hung up on a lot, getting cussed at.
Mhm.
And I would look this up and people would be like, yes, this is gonna happen. So I'm like, oh shit, okay. So um then we started doing like our own thing with that, and it felt like really empowering to wake up and say, this is what we're doing today, this is how we'll get paid. Like, it was just a good feeling, I guess. And but that's where the self-doubt started coming, because we weren't having success at first. And then my partner, one of my good friends, he ended up doing something else. I kept with it for a little bit, then it just wasn't for me. Then eventually I wanted to start sharing, not real estate content, but entrepreneurial content on my Instagram. I had no clue what to share, but I'm just like, maybe I can just share what I know, whatever I know. Maybe it'll help somebody.
Mhm.
Um, and the main reason I even made this Instagram was, and I don't know, maybe you've dealt with this too, but it was hard to find people, which is ironic because we're from the same area or so. But it was hard for me to find people who were doing something for themselves. We went to networking events, and you're familiar with the area. We went to Crown Point, and there was an event, and it was just real estate agents and insurance agents. So one of them was trying to sell us, houses, or if we knew anyone with a house that wanted to sell. And then the other one wanted to know if we had life insurance. But there was like no one there that was building something from scratch, like you with a clothing brand, or someone building up their own marketing agency, something like that. So I made the Instagram specifically for that.
Mhm.
And then fast forward to now, I met multiple people from all over the place, or all over the world, that kind of deal with the same stuff I was dealing. So that's why I always said, like, if one person is dealing with this and maybe someone else is, and I wanted to start sharing my own personal journey. Eventually people were commenting, oh, this is really good for mindset. This is a mindset type post. This is this and that. And I kept saying mindset a lot. And I was like, maybe there's a reason for that. And it's funny because I wasn't really trying to aim towards that. It just happened to be what people kept picking out. So I would share whatever it would be, and they'll say like, oh man, great mindset. And then I started like kind of connecting the dots a little bit.
Your calling found you.
Yeah, no, really, yeah.
That's amazing. That's awesome. So you were doing real estate before?
Yeah, we were doing real estate for a little while. And then, I mean, I've tried a lot of things, right? So I played baseball up until college, try to go pro. Obviously, I'm not pro, but it taught me a lot. And I worked extremely hard towards that, and it didn't work out. And in my head, there was a lot of things I couldn't control. There was a lot of good players from all over the world and things like that. But it gave me the competitive aspect, and that's what I think entrepreneurial is, or entrepreneur ventures are kind of like too. You have a lot of competition out there, but obviously two different games. But it showed me some kind of direction of like, work hard for something that you really want, and give yourself an opportunity to at least try to achieve it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it was kind of all over the place. And then eventually, like you said, the calling kind of just called me out, and like kind of landed on my lap, I guess.
found you. That's cool. And I also see that you do a lot of live videos with other entrepreneurs, I believe, right?
Yeah, that was a big thing too. Like like podcasts like this, or live videos, I just love them because I think having those conversations with people who are in the same mindset as you, of growing and looking to build something, like I always say, build something from scratch. Nothing towards real estate agents or insurance agents, but that's not what I was looking for. I was looking for someone who started with nothing and just built some kind of company. And doing lives with some of the guests I've had really gave me some insight and perspective on what they do, how they did it, and whether they're in the same business as me or not. Most of the time, it's some of the similar problems that they're trying to solve. Someone is having issues with whatever the case is. They provide a solution. They market it really well, and I think there's always stuff to learn from people when they're running their own business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because every day you're learning something new.
Hmm.
It's a never
Definitely.
ending lesson.
For real, yeah, really.
That's awesome. Tell me a little bit about like what you're doing now. How is everything going for you?
So at the beginning of the year, I started making some more podcast episodes. I have my own podcast as well that I don't update as much, but um, I was starting that at the beginning of the year, and then I started getting straight into the coaching. So for January and February, I've already done some coaching calls. Thankfully, it didn't take like forever to sign someone up, which is what I was expecting, right? And that was my own disbelief in it. Like, did I do this well enough for people to even know I do this? And like you said, with the business, you learn things daily. So the first time I announced my coaching, some people say, cool, man, good job. And I had already done it. So this is a funny story, but I had already been doing it for like 2 months. And then I made an actual post about it, not just an Instagram story.
Yeah.
And I posted it, and people were like, congrats on the coaching. But I had already announced it like 2 months ago. So I'm thinking, so I probably didn't do a good job about talking about that. So, and that was another lesson. But anyway,
Everything is
I've
just
just been doing,
better.
yeah. It's just, I'm like, okay, well, now I know.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, as much as I could go back and be, more obvious about sharing my information, I was like, okay, now I know. But now just doing the one-on-one coaching calls. After that, just branching out to hopefully doing some group coaching.
Mhm.
But I wanted to at least get as good as I can at the one-on-one coaching, and then spread out to helping, maybe like a group of 3 to 4 at a time.
Okay, that's awesome. How has your support system been?
It's been good. So something I talk about on my page a lot. I grew up with a single mom. So she's always had my back on everything. So sometimes it's like just whatever it is I choose, she's gonna support it, which is pretty awesome. And then my family as well, my friends. It's interesting though, because a lot of people think, and there's this misconception that when you start something, everybody supports you. That's not always the case. I definitely had like some eye-opening experiences
Mhm.
from people that I personally know. And I think it's always so funny that it's true though. I think I've experienced it, but you'll get more support from strangers or people you don't know rather than people you grew up with. And, I guess it's not good or bad. It's just how it is, accept it. It's cool, whatever. Got to move on. Um, can't be upset about it all day. It is what it is. So it's been a mixture, but family wise, they've all got my back, which is really cool. Really close relationship with my mother, my uncle, and anything I ever have questions about, or if they can help, then yes, they'll be there. But
Yeah.
it's always that fine line, right? Like trying to find support, but then like you want it, but you might not get it, but you still got to do the work anyway.
So that's why I say like you always have to show up for yourself because you never one know who's watching, two who will be supportive. Because when I was doing just like my lifestyle page of fitness and mental health,
Mhm.
from that and being myself, so many of like Instagram friends that I made that I don't personally know were my first customers when I launched my brand.
Oh, awesome.
And it's exactly like you said. I thought that my friends would be the one to support me and share my posts and share all of this stuff, but they were crickets. And
Hmm.
everyone that I had shared like this mental health journey with that I've never met were my first customers and still like my biggest supporters. And with that being said, is showing up. It's, believing not only in yourself, but believing in what you're putting out there, and then everything else will follow.
Yes, 100%.
And I think
Um,
the real people, like real, genuine people, are always going to like go towards that. They're going to follow.
yeah.
Definitely.
Just to add to that, I like how you said that if you truly believe in what you're doing, the rest will follow. Because I had this conversation the other day. So with my mom's boyfriend, we were talking about how a lot of people say like, "Well, I want to do this, but my friends and my family," and he had a good point. He said, it's strange though. If you think about it, if they really truly believe in what they're doing, all that other stuff, it matters a little bit, but at the end of the day, you know that you believe in your vision, or whatever you're doing. So that support ends up coming or not, you know what you're doing is going to do a good job for other people. And I think that's the case too. It's like at some point or another, you can have all your best friends love you and support you, or they could just, like you said, be crickets, but you want to do what you want to do. And if you could show up and help other people do the same, then I think that's what really matters at the end of the day.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, it's all about self love, right?
Yeah, really. I mean, I say that a lot. It's like sometimes all you guys yourself. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's all about self love because if I was seeking validation from other people, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't
yeah,
have started my brand. I wouldn't be doing all of these things that I do. I wouldn't have started Voices with Impact. And thankfully, like my biggest supporter has been, my partner, because he's also very entrepreneurial and is like my biggest critique. Like he's
I
always
got you.
pushing me to do better and to be better. And that has been nice. Um, went on a tangent there. I lost where I was going with that.
No, I think that's a good point too, though. I mean, there was a post I seen the other day. Um, so there's this famous like he's a speaker, author, but David Goggins, he like shares a lot of like motivational stuff. And he talked about like sometimes he doesn't need friends to pat him on the back, but he needs a friend to push him and say, hey, you could probably do better than this. And that gets difficult sometimes. Like I know myself, like I don't know, like I struggle with that too. I sometimes got to tell people, to do a little bit better, do more, but I got to make sure I'm doing it as well. So, I always think that that support has to be, um, and, and coming from a good space in your heart, but also, pushing them a little bit more.
I know, like this morning, he was like, I feel like you could be doing better, but you're not. And I was like sometimes, it's so hard to not just see him as my partner, but also like a business partner because he helped
Yeah.
in many ways. So this morning I was like, oh, well then.
Yeah. It's like, all right, well.
You think about that. You think about what's being said, and you, like he said, he's like, you take my advice, take it or leave it. And it's true. I simmered on what he said, and I was like, you're right. I hit like a creative block, and now it's time for me to like regroup and refocus and do better.
Yeah,
Sometimes we need to hear
big
that
time.
for sure. Let me pause this really quick.
Stories a couple times, like, man, sometimes some shit like kind of like is rough getting around, and like I said, I can, something I've told myself a lot, and it's helped. But at first it didn't, was don't take it personal, don't take it personal. But at first it was very hard not to. We would call people, so we would do like 100 cold calls a day, me and Jose, and maybe 200, 100 for him, 100 for me. But yeah, there were people who would like, I specifically remember one time this guy was like, you guys are a bunch of scammers, you don't know what you're doing. But he didn't even hear our name, our company name. Like it was, but I still took it personal. And then looking back on it, I'm like, I didn't even know that guy's, like, I knew his name because I had to call him, but he didn't even know my name. He even like, and someone told me, one of my teachers actually said, hurt people hurt people.
Mm-hmm.
And I always saw like, that's so simple, but it's very true. I think anyone who, especially working in customer service, like obviously you've probably seen it in the stores, some customer going off on a cashier or whoever it is. And it's like, yeah, it's like, it's not their fault. The price is different. Like, but yeah, I have coworkers who have literally cried, who have literally just broken down. And like, I feel really bad, and I know they took it so personal, so to heart, that it's them. And like you said, I think it's because they just lack that validation within themselves, and that's what makes you realize how important it is to really um find who you are, and what you stand for. And if you stand for what you stand for, and someone's upset about it, you don't really take it to heart, because that's what you believe in. Like, sorry man, maybe I'm just not for you. Like, and that's okay. Like, accepting that it's okay not to be everybody's cup of tea, you know what I mean?
Yep, exactly. Yeah, you're right. Where do you see yourself? What's your goal?
I always say I would like to be like Tony Robbins, just to go speak to people. So this is funny because everyone always says that you're introverted, but yes, I have a podcast and I make videos, but I'm introverted. I'm talking to a camera. I'm not talking to people, right?
Yeah.
I tell myself I'm talking to a camera. That's all. My podcast, it's just me talking into my mic. Like, I send it to people, but I don't talk to people. And I've always been super extremely shy. But I've always told myself, like, if you want to be a speaker, or if you want to make an impact, you got to put yourself out there. And saying you're introverted, it's just this like limiting belief that like you can still be introverted and do that. You know, it's not like because you're introverted you can't do that. It's because it's more like, since you're introverted, do that so other people could do it too. So I just look to like really help other people who are just stuck, because I've been there too, and it feels like there's so many people who have so much potential, and I know they have the drive to do it, but they have no direction, no clarity. And looking to coach multiple people, and in the long run, hopefully build a so there is a platform that you can build like a social group.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to build a group in a way that has entrepreneurs from all over the world join and have each other's back. And something I stand by, and something I even made t-shirts with this on the back, but it's so we can go far alone, but we go further together. And I always think when you have a team with you, or just, that friend, that family member, to doesn't necessarily have to tell you what to do, but know that they trust whatever it is you're doing. And if you fail, if you fall back, they got your back.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a huge thing in the entrepreneurial game. And I think the world needs more entrepreneurs, but we also need to like bring them out, because obviously there's a lot that at the time don't believe in what they're doing, and just need that talk. And I think if I could provide that in terms of public speaking, podcasts, videos, coaching, then I look forward to doing that. Looking forward to what the future holds for other entrepreneurs who are hopefully just kind of stuck, and then they see my content. They're like, oh, I got it now.
Mhm.
That's all. Just help one person a day. That's always been the goal.
Yeah, that's a great goal. One person, I mean, you'll impact one person and then that person will impact another person and it's like a big domino effect.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
please, like, go help other people too. Like, just have each other's back, you know?
Yeah, I think that's I'm so big on that, especially with other women. Because for women, I just feel like it's really hard to empower one another and not
Hmm.
take it as competition. And I think that it's really important to show up for others
Yeah.
and show up with love, show up with grace, show up with confidence, and knowing that you're so sure of yourself that the next girl is not competition. You have to like help each other grow, right? And I think that's something that I kind of have struggled with a little bit is that a lot of women are starting to see me in a more negative way because I'm showing
Hmm.
myself, you know?
Why do you think that is? Because I've kind of like picked up on the trend too, and I always wonder, like, I wonder like how that even, I don't know.
I had an interview with a friend, Nubia, and she brought this not a conclusion, but she basically said that, we're mirrors to other people and whatever it is that we do is going to affect someone,
Yeah.
right? And it all goes back to that person's own insecurities and their own self-doubt projecting it onto what you're doing. And I see that more and more as I am showing up for myself, you know?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I don't see like what I'm doing as competition. I'm doing it because I love it, because I believe in my
Yeah.
brand. I believe in empowering women of all shapes and sizes through my activewear. And I'm showing up for those women, right? And like you said, I'm not going to be everyone's cup of tea, and that's okay. I'm showing up for those that want me to show up for them and for myself.
Yeah.
And that can be triggering to other women, to other people. And you just got to keep on going. Not let it.
Yeah. No, man, you took the words right out of my mouth. It's like, yeah, there, you'll put yourself out there, and then like, let's just say 50%. 50% will be like, what the hell? Why is she doing that? Or why is he doing that? I
Mhm.
don't like that. But then another 50% takes it in another way where they're like, oh, that's inspiring. Now maybe I could do that too. We
Mhm.
grew up together, or we're from the same area or same ethnicity or whatever it is. And I think at the end of the day, it's about focusing on the people who you're trying to help. You know,
Yeah.
like
Oh my God.
it's just, yeah. I mean, there's nothing much else you can do. You can try to change everybody else's mind and
No.
say like, hey, don't take this personal. That's, whatever convincing you want to do.
Mhm.
But then you're neglecting the people who are ready to work. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think they'll come along. If not, then it's on them. But at the end of the day, like you said, it's on you to kind of show up for yourself, and then at the same time for other people.
Yeah, I think every day I wake up and I say, not only am I showing up for myself, but I'm showing up for all of the women that have messaged me and told me that I have impacted their lives. And
That's
I'm not
awesome.
going to fail myself, but I'm not going to fail them either, because they are looking up to me, and I am like in awe of that. I don't take that lightly. Have spoken so much about my own mental health journey and all of my battles that has resonated with so many other women that I won't ever stop,
Yeah.
being vulnerable, because I'm showing up for those that need it the most every single day, because you have to.
Yeah. I
It's
think that's probably my favorite thing you've said, that you say that every day, because that's huge. Because I mean, I've talked to people, and I've been there too, where you wake up and you're like, nah, like maybe it's not always going to be 100%, right? Like, oh, I can't wait for this day to start. Sometimes it's a little stressful.
oh
I
yeah.
think it's more stressful than just, waking up, go to work, come back. Because once you clock out, you clock out.
Yeah.
I always say in the entrepreneurial field, it's like you never really clock out. As
No.
much as you, yeah, right, like as much as you like to just shut it off,
Nope.
it's difficult. That's something I've struggled with, and I told my friend, like, dude, I don't know, I'm like always thinking about the, and I don't say this like stuff to like brag, like I'm always thinking about the page. No, but it's like, how can I make it better? um how can I create something that's more impactful? You know what I mean?
Even when like you're out in public, ideas just like start
Mm-hmm.
coming to you from what you see or where you're at. I mean, it's so hard for us to shut that off because we're always thinking about content. We're always thinking about creating. We're always thinking about like, how are we going to make an impact today? Right?
Yeah, and it's like you can't stop thinking, because then it's like, oh shit, I had a great idea and I didn't, you know what I mean?
I write that down on your notes.
Yeah, exactly. But I really do like what you said, that you're going to show up for yourself, but also the people you've impacted. Because I talk to people who say like, um, how to stay motivated or how to push yourself, and I always think like I don't really. I guess motivation has its time and place, but I'm more about like building the discipline so you don't always have to rely on motivation.
Mhm.
But if there was anything that could wake you up, it's like, oh shit, I got to show up for people, like people count on me. And it's a good thing. It's a responsibility. And, it could be stressful at times, but I think it's very rewarding too, to, get that DM or sell a product and people love it. And they wouldn't have even known about it if it wasn't for you. So I want to just add one more thing to that. Someone had asked me like how to, I don't know if you struggled with this too, but this is something I struggled with. But like putting your product out there, like advertising yourself and um, just marketing yourself. And it's like it's scary and people are like, what is this about? But I think that's what you gotta do. Like you gotta market for yourself. You can't expect your friends and family to share it all, but you gotta let people know what you do. And that's scary, but it's at the same time, I think it gets more comfortable the more you do it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I had, you know, my own insecurity of like, I'm not the most fittest person and I'm not the most prettiest and I'm not like social media standards of beautiful. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to let all of those things stop me from what I am passionate about. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because if I did, then I wouldn't, what would, I would be a fraud. I mean,
Yeah.
everything that I post about, like, I I would be a fraud, right? So although I don't have a six pack, although I am not like this beautiful person, I love what I'm building and I'm showing up for myself.
Hmm.
And you're gonna love it or you're gonna hate it, but regardless, I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna keep showing up. And
Yeah.
and that's just what it is. It's every single day you show up, even when days are hard. Like, yes, every morning is always like I have to show up for myself and I have to show up for other people, but some days are hard.
Hmm.
Those when those are hard days, you have to give yourself grace. And if as long as you get through the day, you already won, right? Because I don't know about you, but I struggled a lot with depression, and so just showing up and moving with my day, I have to give myself grace
Yeah.
because
No,
that's a hard task.
um and that's something I've talked about too, that's like just try to show up, because eventually you'll end up seeing like all those days I just showed up, I ended up doing what I needed to do because I showed up, you know what I mean? Like um it's like going to the gym, like let me just show up there, and you get there and you're like, oh, I had a really good workout, like it just kind of happens that way sometimes. Like you might not feel like it, but you get to a point where you're there, you have a good workout, you're proud of yourself, and you're like, all right, I could, if I did this once, I could probably do it again. And and I think it's good to remind yourself that as much as we want to remind ourselves about all the good days we have, I think it's good to remind yourself about like that day you didn't really feel like doing anything, but you still did it. And it's a good reminder to say like, wow, I did a good job even on my bad day. You know what I mean? Like imagine how well I can do on a good day, and I think you find like a good work ethic, and then that's how you get results, by showing up, being consistent with it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Let me pause this again. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you had some advice to give to our viewers, what would it be?
I think at the end of the day, something I remind myself is that you've only got one life. As much as, as much time as we think we got to remind ourselves that we just don't know. People are going to say good things, bad things, hateful things, great things, things like that. At the end of the day, none of that stuff matters. As an entrepreneur, I think you have to find that vision, that thing that you want to accomplish and help. And if you do that well enough, and if you stay consistent enough, I think you'll find that success, because at the end of the day, people like that consistency and the persistence in someone else's own work ethic and demeanor. And me personally, from the people I've talked to, you included, we all know that it gets difficult, but I think those are the days that you have to really audit and see why you're doing what you're doing. And at the end of the day, if it's worth it, then you'll continue to keep going. So for any new entrepreneur or aspiring entrepreneur, please realize that it will be difficult at times, but if you believe in yourself and you believe in the vision you're trying to accomplish well enough, those difficult days will always be worth it at the end.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. That was great.